A space probe's lander touched down on Comet 67P, 510 million kilometers from Earth, an unprecedented achievement in space exploration. Flying cars used to be a feature of science fiction and comic strips. One of the most successful hybrid flying cars is due to go into production this year. Lifelong learning is the self-motivated pursuit of knowledge, for personal or professional reasons, throughout life, in a range of situations. It is not confined to the classroom nor restricted by age. Open, online sources have made this type of learning accessible to a greater number of people. Accidents at home are more common than anywhere else. Falling and tripping accidents cause injuries to thousands of people. Teenagers who enjoy exercise and form healthy eating habits stay fit throughout their lives. Although restricted to sound, radio advertising is an expanding medium that is available on air and online. Radio broadcasts can reach a greater number of people in remote areas and do not require advanced technology. Should people follow their passion and change careers later in life if they feel unhappy and burnt out? Success stories of entrepreneurs who changed careers over the age of 50 prove that it is never too late to follow a new path.
Ted. Good morning, Ashraf. Ashraf. Oh, hello Ted. What a surprise. Are you flying with us to Dubai? Ted. In fact, my brother and I are flying to Denver to visit our uncle. Ashraf. You're kidding. My father is attending a conference in Denver. What's it like in Denver? Ted. It's beautiful if you don't mind cold winters. Anyway, how are you? How is your family? Ashraf. Very well, thanks. How about you? Ted. Great. Oh, sorry, you haven't met my brother Jack. Ashraf. Hello, Jack. Pleased to meet you. Jack. Hello, Ashraf. I'm really glad to meet you. Ted talks about you all the time. Loudspeaker flight call. Sadia Flight 380 is now boarding at Gate 9. Ted. That's our flight. Come on Jack, we need to go. Bye Ashraf. Have a safe flight and a great time in Dubai. Ashraf. Thanks Ted. Have a pleasant flight. Bye Jack, great to meet you. Please give my regards to your father. Receptionist. Dental Health Center, good morning. Mrs. Phillips, good morning. This is Meg Phillips. I'd like to make an appointment, please. Receptionist. Of course, Mrs. Phillips. Let me see. The doctor is available on Monday and Wednesday afternoon from 5:00 to 6:00 next week. Mrs. Phillips. I see. It's rather urgent, I'm afraid. Could I see her sooner? I'm in a lot of pain. Receptionist. I'm sorry to hear that, Mrs. Phillips. I'll see what I can do. I'm afraid she's booked up today and tomorrow. Let me have a word with her and I'll get back to you. Mrs. Phillips. Thank you. I'll wait. Receptionist. Hello, Mrs. Phillips. Can you make it this morning, in about an hour? There's been a cancellation. Mrs. Phillips. Yes, of course. Thank you so much. Receptionist. You're welcome. We'll be expecting you in an hour. The world is constantly going through changes. Look at some important events that have changed the world and affected the lives of many people in modern times. The unification of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. King Abdulaziz, a gifted leader, was responsible for the legendary event that marked the beginning of modern Saudi Arabia. In 1902, he regained Riyadh, beat the city garrison, took the Masmak fortress, and established his headquarters in the city. He expanded Saudi Arabia to include all of the Hijaz, Makkah and Medina, and united all the tribes. On September 23, 1932, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia was officially established as an independent country, with Arabic as the national language and the Holy Quran as its constitution. King Abdulaziz initiated the building of infrastructure and set Saudi Arabia on the road to modernization. The United Arab Emirates UAE, the Federation of the United Arab Emirates, known as UAE, consists of 7 sheikdoms: Abu Dhabi, Ajman, Dubai, Fujairah, Ras Al Khaimah, Sharjah, and Al Quwain. The city of Abu Dhabi in Abu Dhabi is the capital. The UAE was officially established in 1971. It came after the discovery of enormous oil reserves in Abu Dhabi in 1958. The UAE dirham, a single national currency, was launched in 1973. The oil revenues as well as income from other commercial activities have been used to develop a thriving economy and social infrastructure. Abu Dhabi now hosts its own Grand Prix at Yas Marina Circuit, and Dubai is home to the tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa. The space race: the Russians launched the world's first artificial satellite, Sputnik 1, on October 4, 1957. Next, Sputnik 2 went up into space on November 3. The Americans won the race to land on the moon more than 10 years later, with Apollo 11 on July 20, 1969. "This is one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind," said astronaut Neil Armstrong, the first person to walk on the moon. Prince Sultan bin Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud flew on STS-51G Discovery in June 1985 as the representative of the Arab Satellite Communications Organization, Arabsat. He was the youngest person to fly on the space shuttle at the age of 28. The Communications Revolution, the first communications satellite, called Telstar, was launched from Cape Canaveral on July 10, 1962. This marked the start of rapid transmission of TV signals over wide areas. What we take for granted today, satellite television, cellular telephones, wireless and high-speed internet connections, and so forth, were part of science fiction only 40 years ago. Teenagers today are the first real citizens of the digital world. Unlike their parents, they have grown up in a world in which electronic delivery of information and entertainment is natural and more accepted than conventional forms like the newspaper, tape, or film. Simple present tense facts. The Earth revolves around the Sun. Permanent situations. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Habits and routines. I wake up at 7 a.m. every day. Present progressive actions happening now. I am eating lunch. Situations in progress. The house is being built. Temporary situations. I am visiting my grandparents. John lives in Quebec, but he is studying in France this year. Simple past tense. I ate breakfast this morning. Present perfect tense. I have eaten breakfast already. Simple past and present perfect. The Russians launched the first artificial satellite in 1957. The United States has launched many astronauts into space since 1969 and continues to do so. For centuries, people have made major changes in their lives. Many have moved to other countries in search of new lives. One of the great periods of immigration was between 1880 and 1920. At that time, 23 million immigrants arrived in the United States. Most of them came from poor towns and villages in southern and eastern Europe. They had one thing in common: they believed that in the United States life was going to be better for them. It was the land of freedom and prosperity. Most of these immigrants were able to get just enough money to pay for the trip across the ocean by boat. Many arrived without any money to their names. Often the father of a family came first and found work. Then he sent for his wife and children. The trip across the ocean for poor immigrants was terrible. Men, women, and children stayed in crowded and smelly compartments, deep down in the hold of the ship. They had no showers, and there were no dining rooms for them. They went up on deck to get food from huge pots. This was the price they had to pay to get to the New World. On their arrival in the United States, they saw the Statue of Liberty in New York Harbor. But they weren't free to enter America right away. When immigrants landed in New York, ferry boats took them to Ellis Island, where immigration officers questioned the new arrivals, and doctors examined them. Those who failed the medical exam had to go back to their native countries. Sometimes if a child was ill, the entire family had to return. Ellis Island became known as Heartbreak Island among immigrants. Saud, tell me about yourself. Hans, I was born here in Berlin, but my family is from Leipzig, in what was East Germany. They moved over to the West soon after the German reunification. How about you? Saud, I'm from Dubai, but my grandparents were from Germany. In fact, they were from Berlin. Hans, so I guess you still have family here. Saud, I'm afraid we lost touch with our relatives. Hans, and how long have you been here? Saud, I've been here for almost 3 years. You see, I have a German passport because of my grandparents. So I can work legally in this country. Hans, by the way, what do you do? Saud, I'm a biologist. I do research in a lab for a pharmaceutical company. Hans, do you miss Dubai? Saud, quite a bit. But I've got a good job. I've made lots of friends. I fit in okay. I'm happy here. All successful changes start with a vision. Successful visions are based on strong pillars. The first pillar of our vision is our status as the heart of the Arab and Islamic worlds. We recognize that Allah the Almighty has given to our country a gift more precious than oil. Saudi Arabia is the land of the 2 holy mosques, the most sacred sites on earth, and the direction of the Kaaba, Qibla, to which more than 1 billion Muslims turn at prayer. We will expand and further develop our country to ensure that Muslims from around the world can visit the holy sites. The second pillar of our vision is our determination to become a center for global business. We will develop the economy to encourage investment from other countries and international businesses. The third pillar is transforming our unique geographical location into a global hub connecting 3 continents, Asia, Europe, and Africa. We will use our geographical position to improve trade and transport to and from our country. Although our country is rich in its natural resources, our real wealth lies in the ambition of our people and the potential of our younger generation. They are our nation's pride and the architects of our future. We will support young people in finding jobs and training. Our vision is built around 3 themes: a vibrant society, a thriving economy, and an ambitious nation. The first theme is vital to achieving the vision. We believe in the importance of a vibrant society. Members of this society live in accordance with the Islamic principle of moderation, are proud of their national identity and their ancient cultural heritage, enjoy a good life, are protected by caring families, and are supported by a social and healthcare system. The government is committed to supporting families and the education and well-being of their children. In the second theme, a thriving economy provides opportunities for all by building an education system that meets the needs of the market. It creates economic opportunities for small enterprises as well as large corporations. Therefore, we will develop and diversify our economy to create job opportunities. Our third theme, an ambitious nation, is built on a responsible, transparent, and high-performing government. We will apply efficiency and responsibility at all levels. We will also prepare the right environment for our citizens, businesses, and society to be responsible and take the initiative in facing challenges and seizing opportunities. We are confident about Saudi Arabia's future. With all the blessings Allah has given us, we cannot help but be optimistic about the decades ahead. The future of our country is one of huge promise and great potential. Our precious country deserves the best. Our vision, grounded in our country's strengths, will deliver this stability and create a brighter future for our country and our people. How the Internet has changed the world. It all started in 1969 when a student at the University of Stanford tried to log in to a university computer from his home in Los Angeles. This gave scientists the idea that people could communicate through computers, instead of posting letters or talking by telephone. Many scientists researched ways to try and do this. In 1990, Tim Berners-Lee and Robert Dalyau succeeded. They created a system for people to communicate with each other and find out information using computers. In the beginning, they called it the World Wide Web. They changed the name to the Internet later. The Internet started with a few basic websites and email. At first, it was used mainly by scientists, governments, and the military. Now, more than 30 years later, there are more than 4.5 billion users of the Internet, about half of the world's population. Email, instant messaging, and online video calls connect people across the globe for business, education, and social purposes. Social networks allow people to communicate with large numbers of friends and upload pictures and videos to share. Information is accessible to everyone online. All you need to do is Google a few keywords and you get numerous sites and documents. We can also now learn via the Internet. People can attend university or courses online and obtain academic and professional qualifications. Simple past tense. He, she worked yesterday. He, she didn't work yesterday. Did I, you, he, she work yesterday? Yes, I, you, he, she did. No, I, you, he, she didn't. Time expressions for the past. Q. What did you do last night? A. I watched a TV documentary about global warming. Q. Where did you go yesterday? A. We visited the Roman baths. Q. When did you visit Pakistan? A. I went to Pakistan last month. Past progressive tense. He was sleeping. He wasn't sleeping. You were sleeping. You weren't sleeping. Was he sleeping? Were you sleeping? Past progressive plus when plus simple past tense. Use when to indicate that a longer, continuous action is interrupted by a shorter one. Hans was walking to college when he saw Saud. Note: we do not usually use the progressive with verbs like the following: like, love, want, see, smell, taste, hear. Dream jobs. Have you ever wondered how people get really cool jobs? Imagine you've been working at the same job for a long time, and you're getting tired of the daily grind. Maybe you can get inspiration from these lucky people and do something creative and interesting. Car sculptor working with clay is normally associated with artists, not with the automotive industry. However, some of the world's largest automobile companies have a permanent staff of sculptors to help them make designs for cars and visualize ideas for future products. Salim Saif went to art school and was going to be an artist, but he ended up as a sculptor for General Motors. Salim spends his days using his hands to craft anything from miniature clay models to actual size car sculptures. He's been working for the company since he left college, and he and his team have helped design the latest models to come off the showroom floor. Food scientist. When someone says that he is a laboratory scientist, what immediately comes to your mind? You probably think of a white lab coat, sterile surroundings, a microscope, and test tubes. But that is not the case of Matthew Duval. For the last 3 years, he's been working as a food scientist for the makers of Tasty's ice cream, and he has created several new flavors. He's constantly searching for new combinations of flavors to keep the products fresh and interesting for the company's customers. In his lab, he experiments with different products and flavors until he gets them just right. And, of course, he always gets to taste the results. One part of Matthew's job involves market research. He's good at presenting his new products to customers and getting their input. Animation designer. Animation has been in high demand in advertising, special effects, video games, and films. Animators need to have artistic ability, creativity, storytelling ability, technical skills, scientific and technical knowledge, and the ability to work with others. Animators need to understand character development and be able to portray character emotions in a convincing way. As computer-generated imagery, CGI, technology is used in both live-action films and animated movies and interactive games, it has become necessary for designers to have scientific and technical knowledge. Animation projects involve many people who work as a team. Clear and effective communication with team members and clients is crucial. Present perfect progressive. Present perfect simple. Hainan has been reading a book for 2 hours. She has read 30 pages. Present perfect progressive, present perfect simple. How long have you been reading that book? How many pages have you read? Present perfect progressive, present perfect simple. Saeed has been playing football since he was 10. He has played for 3 different teams. Present perfect progressive, present perfect simple. How long have you been playing football? How many teams have you played for? Interviewer. As you know, Michael, this job calls for someone with an architectural degree and some experience in marketing. Michael. I think my resume shows that I have the right qualifications for the job. I majored in architecture, and then I took some courses in marketing. I had a part-time job as a salesperson while I was at college, and I found out I was good at communicating with people. Interviewer. Okay. And can you tell me what experience you have actually had in architecture? Michael. I've been working as an architect for 3 years. The company I work for builds apartment buildings. I have been involved in drafting designs. Interviewer. So, why do you want to change jobs? Michael. I'd like to do something more exciting, and that involves more contact with customers. Could you give me a job description of the position you are looking to fill? Interviewer. Our company puts up exhibit stands at fairs and expositions. First, we have to find out from our clients exactly what they want. After that, we design the exhibit according to their specifications. We get to travel a lot and go to fairs all over the world. We're looking for someone who can be involved in all stages of our work, from selling to a client, to designing and putting up exhibit stands for the client. Michael. That sounds fascinating to me. It sounds as if there is the opportunity to do a wide range of tasks and work closely with a lot of different people. Interviewer. The salary is high, but sometimes you might have to work 50 to 60 hours a week. Michael. That's okay. I'm prepared to work hard, and I would welcome an opportunity to work in this field. Yusuf. So, Khalid, are you happy with your job at the TV station? Khalid. Yes, very happy. I enjoy being out there and talking to people. I get a lot of satisfaction out of my job. Yusuf. How long have you been working on TV? Khalid. I've been a reporter at this station for 5 years, since my internship. What about you? Yusuf. I've been working at the bank since I left high school. It's the same thing day after day, day in and day out. I'm bored to death. I was hoping to be a watch repairer, you know, but my parents talked me out of it. They said it wasn't a serious profession. Khalid. Well, I was going to be a dentist, but luckily I changed my mind. Can you imagine me in a small room, stuck between 4 walls? Yusuf. That's where I am right now. It's time to move on and find something more challenging. I have a lot of different skills. I'm good at solving problems. I'm organized, reliable, hardworking. What do you think I should do? Job Pool has the job for you about us. Job Pool is a privately owned career network with branches all over the world. Since its foundation in 2000, the company has constantly improved its users' experience with new features and services. Job Pool has been growing globally through strategic international expansion. We have helped professionals and companies all over the world to meet each other. Openings, internships. Search jobs, media positions, search media intern. TV and radio media international. Do you want to be part of the fast-paced world of television and meet famous people at the same time? Here's your chance. Our interns research information about hot topics. They need to find information quickly and be able to summarize it in clear language. Our hosts use the information on their programs. Our interns also greet our guests when they arrive in our studios. You need to be fluent in English and be good at using computers. And you must be friendly and outgoing. This is a paid internship for the summer. Archaeological interns. Students learning overseas, here's an opportunity to study history firsthand and to work with noted archaeologists on an exciting dig. We've been uncovering ruins at the famous ancient city of Pompeii for several years. Intern's job is to dig slowly and carefully. They also work to uncover buildings that have been buried for centuries. It is very hard and painstaking work. The reward is a chance to discover something that the volcano Vesuvius buried with its lava 2,000 years ago. This is an unpaid 3-month internship, but lodging and meals are provided near the site. Environmental engineering. Saudi construction, Riyadh. Great opportunity for a civil engineering graduate student in the environment field. This project involves the construction of a road and a number of other local projects, such as research centers and new pipelines. The interns work alongside experienced civil engineers and receive training in the different work sectors. You need to be able to read blueprints, have some knowledge of Arabic, and be able to cope with temperatures that average 104 degrees Fahrenheit, 40 degrees Celsius. Food and accommodation will be provided. Ahmed Al-Saleh, Human Resources Manager, 0A Company, 87 Riyadh Road, Jeddah, 555-555-5555, ahmed.alsaleh@email.com. The 15th of April 2023. Dear Mr. Al-Saleh, I am writing to apply for the public relations position advertised in PR Journal. As requested, I am enclosing a completed job application, my certification, my resume, and 3 references. I believe that my experience, education, and training will make me a competitive candidate for this position. The key strengths that I possess for success in this position include: I am a dedicated and enthusiastic professional. I welcome challenge and strive for continued excellence. I am an experienced and effective communicator. I have had 5 successful years in PR in large corporations. With a bachelor's degree in public relations and a master's degree in intercultural communication, I have a full understanding of the factors involved in the successful operation of a multinational organization such as yours. Thank you for your time and consideration. I look forward to hearing from you. Sincerely, Saud Khalid. Simple present tense. Use the simple present to talk about things that are true in general or that happen all the time. We work in an office. I don't work in an office. He works in an office. He doesn't work in an office. Time expressions for the present. We can use time expressions to talk about routines or habits. He works at the hospital from Sunday to Thursday. He works at the hospital on weekdays. He doesn't work on the weekend. In his free time, he plays football. WH questions in the simple present. Q. Where does he, she work? Q. Where do you, they work? Q. What do you do? A. He, she works in a hospital. A. I. They work in an office. A. I'm a salesperson. Note. What do you do? Usually means what's your job. Prepositions of time for the present. Look at these examples to understand when we use prepositions to talk about time. At 3 o'clock, noon, midnight, midday, night. In the morning, afternoon, evening. On Thursday, weekdays, Saturday morning, weekends, the weekend. Relative pronouns. Who, that, which. Relative clauses add information about a noun in the main clause. Use the relative pronoun who or that for people. Use the relative pronoun that or which for things and animals. The man was talking to the tourists. He was friendly. The man who, that was talking to the tourists was friendly. Relative clause. The computer company is making a good profit. It is called Easy Surf. The computer company that, which is making a good profit is called Easy Surf. Past progressive with while. We can use the past progressive with while to talk about actions that were happening at the same time. Muhammad was working on the computer while his brother was talking on the phone. While you were working at the photography studio, I was studying graphic design at college. They were waiting for their father at the office while their father was waiting for them at home. While she was talking with her sister downstairs, her mother was looking for her upstairs. A Vision of the Future. The French writer Jules Verne wrote several books in the late 1800s. In them, he wrote about the future. He asked, what will life be like at the end of the 20th century? 100 years from now. In one of his adventure novels, From the Earth to the Moon, his characters traveled to the moon in a rocket. In another novel, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, his characters dove through the depths of the ocean in a submarine in the shape of a whale. In a novel titled Paris in the 20th Century, Verne described a city with skyscrapers of glass and steel, high-speed trains, gas-powered automobiles, and a global communications network. Space rockets and submarines and other things in his novels didn't exist in Verne's time, but many of the inventions that Verne imagined became reality by the end of the 1900s. That's why people call Verne a visionary. Comments made in the United States in 1955. Right or wrong predictions. Read the predictions below. Find the sentences that talk about the future. I seriously doubt that fast food restaurants will ever catch on. Have you seen the new cars coming out next year? It won't be long before $1,500 won't even buy a used car. Did you see where some baseball player just signed a contract for $75,000 a year just to play ball? It wouldn't surprise me if someday they'll be making more than the president. Soon all our kitchen appliances will be electric. They are even making electric typewriters now. I'll tell you one thing, if things keep going the way they are, it's going to be impossible to buy a week's groceries for $20. If they think I'll pay 50 cents for a haircut, forget it. Future with will or be going to. Use will or be going to make predictions about the future. Computers will perform many functions. Computers won't have feelings. People are going to have more free time. Machines aren't going to control us. Will people eat artificial food? I guess so. I hope not. Are we going to travel to other planets? I think so. I don't think so. We also use will when we decide to do something at the time we're speaking, such as for offers or promises. We don't have any milk. I'll get some from the store. Will versus be going to. Use be going to express a plan that is already made or decided. Use will to express uncertainty, often with maybe or probably. What are your vacation plans? I'm going to spend a month in ABBA. Maybe I'll go to ABBA. Future progressive. Use the future progressive, will plus be plus present participle, for continuous actions in the future. Or use be going to plus be plus present participle. At this time tomorrow, I'll be swimming in the ocean. Or I'm going to be swimming. A week from today, I'll be relaxing on the beach. Or I'm going to be relaxing. By the year 3000, people will be living to the age of 120. Or they are going to be living. Will you be working on the weekend? Yes, I will. No, I won't. Are they going to be taking the test, too? Yes, they are. No, they aren't. Today is a very important day for all of you. It marks the end of your high school days and the beginning of a new life for you. From here, some of you will go off to college and others will be starting jobs. I've known you all through high school. And some of you I've known since kindergarten, when you were only 6 years old. Ibrahim Al-Onazi, no one could run like you in school races. You have become a really good athlete, and I'm sure you're going to make a fine physical education teacher when you finish college. Stephen Walker, you always had to prove your point, and you could argue your points well and give a lot of good reasons. You have been a great captain of our debate team. I'm certain you're going to be a successful lawyer, and I wish you the best of luck at college and then at law school. Saeed Al-Yami, you always had a great scientific mind, and you truly deserve that scholarship to the School of Science and Technology. Our school is going to miss you. We're going to lose our science researcher temporarily. I say temporarily because in the future we'll probably be reading about your work in scientific journals and the press. We might even watch you being interviewed on television. Jim Miller, you were always busy raising money and working for good causes and charities. You'll be a wonderful social worker after you finish college. Whatever road you may take, I'm sure you'll always remember the days you spent at Riverside High. The friends you made and the good times you had are things you will never forget. Present simple tense versus present progressive tense. We use the simple present to talk about habits or routines. We use the present progressive for actions occurring now or for a temporary situation. Omar lives in Riyadh. He works for a big computer company as a computer scientist. Omar is working at the Al Qasim Science Center in Saudi. He is creating an exhibit named Computers in the Future. Present progressive for the future. We can also use the present progressive tense to talk about arrangements and scheduled events in the future. Q. When are they flying to Dubai? A. They're flying to Dubai tonight. Q. When are the new cars coming out? A. They're coming out next year. Q. When is Omar leaving for Riyadh? A. He's flying at 9 o'clock in the morning. Time expressions for the future. Q. What are you going to do tomorrow? A. I'm going to visit the Museum of Science and Technology. Q. Will she go on the school trip next week? A. Yes, she will. Q. Are you sitting examinations next month? A. Yes, I am. Make and respond to suggestions. To make suggestions we can use let's. How about? Why don't we? You. Q. Let's look for the hidden treasure. A. We can't. We don't have a map. Q. How about making a time capsule for the school project? A. Great idea. Let's do it. Q. Why don't we design a robot to help with the cleaning? A. Yes, why not? That sounds great. Information questions. Q. What are you going to do in the summer? A. I'll probably travel. Q. Where will you go? A. I'll go to Najran. Q. How will you get there? A. Maybe I'll drive. Note. We often use will with probably or maybe to express doubt or uncertainty. Tag questions to check information. We use an auxiliary verb and a subject personal pronoun. With an affirmative, use a negative tag. With a negative, use an affirmative tag. Global warming will melt the ice at the poles, won't it? Most people use their cars to get around the city, don't they? Scientists are close to finding a cure for cancer, aren't they? It usually snows in winter, doesn't it? You are from Riyadh, aren't you? Negative sentence. Affirmative tag. People won't live on other planets in 100 years, will they? They are not going to go on the school science trip, are they? He isn't working at the research center tomorrow, is he? It doesn't usually rain in summer, does it? She isn't from Muscat, is she? Compact cars. The smaller, the better. The tiny classic is back. Measuring 10 feet 11 inches, 335 centimeters, long, 5 feet 5 inches, 165 centimeters, wide, and 4 feet 11 inches, 149 centimeters, tall. The new Fiat 500 is a triumph of Italian design. Every line has been crafted to reflect the legendary original, and buyers will be offered a variety of colors and options to customize their car. The Fiat 500 two-seater was introduced in 1957, and it became an automotive legend. It featured a 13-horsepower engine and had a top speed of about 53 miles, 85 kilometers, per hour. Suitcase. For the price of a car, according to Forbes magazine, Henk is the most expensive suitcase in the world. The Henk Friendly suitcase was developed by a group of Dutch engineers and designers over a period of 10 years. Each suitcase is made individually and is built to the individual customer's requested specifications. You may prefer to opt for one of the recommended combinations, which have been carefully selected. Features: weight. Lighter than any other bag. It has been designed to feel like you're pulling no more than 25 grams, even if you've packed bricks in the suitcase. Materials. It comes in ebony, wood, or Italian leather. Remote control. The control is used to hide the wheels and to activate a locking system. Wheels. The wheels are made of titanium, providing the smoothest ride. Prices. The price can be as high as a car, ranging from $20,000 to $40,000. The fold-up bike. It looks like an ordinary bike, but it's portable. This folding bike can easily be transported and stored when it is not in use. It can make your life easier. In contrast to the standard bike, it is much smaller and less bulky, so it can be parked and stored more readily. The fold-up bike is attractive, and it comes in a variety of styles. About bicycles. Bicycles were invented in France in the 1790s. The first bikes were made of wood, had a front wheel that didn't move from left to right, and didn't have pedals. In 1817, a steerable front wheel was developed by Baron Karl von Dries in Germany, and in 1839, the first pedals were introduced by Kirkpatrick Macmillan, a blacksmith from Scotland. The first bikes had large front wheels because it was believed that the bigger the front wheel, the faster the bike. The passive. Use the passive to emphasize what was done instead of who did it. The passive is formed by combining a form of the verb to be with the past participle of the main verb. Simple present. This car is made in Japan. Simple past. The suitcase was developed in the Netherlands. Present perfect. Our products have been used by travelers all over the world. Future. A clean engine will be produced in the future. A phrase with the preposition by can follow the passive verb to indicate the doer of the action. Comparison of adjectives, comparatives and superlatives. Use comparative and superlative forms of adjectives when you compare the qualities of two or more people, things, animals, or situations. Com. Sub. The hydrogen car is clean. It's cleaner than other models. It's the cleanest car of all. Com. Sub. The bag is expensive. It's more expensive than others. It's the most expensive bag. Similarities and differences. As plus adjective plus as. Use as to show two items are the same in some way. The special suitcase is as expensive as a car. Use not as to show that two items are not the same in some way. The fold-up bicycle is not as bulky as a regular bicycle. More similarities and differences. Look, smell, sound, taste. Like plus noun. The new compact car looks like a bug. That sounds like a good idea. One. Sun ray gives you the most wonderful suntan while protecting your skin all day long against the wind and harmful rays of the sun. Use sun ray for utmost care and protection. Recommended by dermatologists all over the world. 2. When you're feeling tired, hot, and thirsty, there's nothing more invigorating than sparkle. It's cooler than an ocean breeze, fresher than a mountain stream, and it has a delicious, refreshing taste. Try sparkle now. 3. Do you have a splitting headache? Are you suffering from a toothache? No ache will take away your pain, and you will feel better immediately. Why don't you try no ache and get rid of your aches and pains almost instantly? 4. When the kids got home from their camping trip, their suitcases were full of dirty clothes that smelled bad. I just threw all the clothes into the washing machine, added a measure of spotless, and just look at them now. They're clean and spotless again, and they smell great, too. Adnan. Hi, Omar. What are you up to? Omar. I'm turning off my alarm. Adnan. What on earth is that? Omar. It's the new flying helicopter alarm. It runs on rechargeable batteries. It's the best alarm clock I've ever had. Adnan. How does it work? Omar. You see, the top part, in other words the flying part, is placed on a base. The alarm is set and when it goes off the top part flies off the base. It is made to fly in order to make you get up, catch it, and put it back on its base. Adnan. And why is it here? Omar. Well, you know how it is when you have a lot to do at work and you also have to attend meetings. I don't have an assistant, so if I'm working on an important project I forget. The flying alarm can solve the problem. I set it in time for any meeting or conference that I have and I don't have to worry. What do you think? The world of plastic. Can you imagine a world without credit cards? Until the 1950s, a world without the use of cash was simply inconceivable. Today, an economic universe without plastic would be impractical. Whether it's for business or for leisure, the credit card is used to pay for goods and services from New York to Beijing. It all started in 1949 when Frank McNamara scheduled a business dinner in a New York restaurant. Before he left for the dinner, Frank changed suits. When the waiter presented the check, Frank realized that he had left his wallet in the other suit. The embarrassing situation was solved, but that night Frank asked himself, why should people be limited to spending what they are carrying in cash, instead of being able to spend what they can afford? A year later, Frank returned to the same restaurant in New York. When the check came, Frank handed the waiter a small cardboard card, a Diners Club card, and signed for the meal. This event is known in the credit card industry as the First Supper. Soon the concept of charging it was picked up by merchants as an alternative form of payment to the use of cash. By 1952, the Diners Club card was accepted by thousands of businesses across the United States, and it became a status symbol for those who carried it. The Diners Club card soon became a cultural icon. Hollywood cashed in on the charge it craze with the 1962 movie, The Man from the Diners Club. In it, an employee at Diners Club issues a credit card to a well-known gangster and has to get it back in order to keep his job. The Ideal Toy Corporation joined in the trend when it created a board game called the Diners Club game. The idea of the credit card quickly expanded outside the United States. The Diners Club card became the first international charge card in 1952 with franchises in Canada, France, and Cuba. In 1955, Western Airlines became the first airline to accept the Diners Club card. 10 years later, the card was accepted by every airline in the United States. Diners Club expanded its services to hotels, car rentals, and other businesses. Other famous international credit cards have been created, such as American Express, Visa, and MasterCard. There are hundreds of local bank cards, department store credit cards, supermarket credit cards, and so forth around the world. In 1984, the first Card Members Rewards program was created, aimed mostly at business travelers. It gave valuable benefits and special privileges to loyal users. Now, many reward programs offer free airline miles and discounts on hotels and other products. Ever since a businessman forgot his cash in 1949, people have used credit cards. An entirely new business was created that revolutionized the way the world has paid for goods and services ever since. The invention of the cell phone. The history of the cell phone goes back to Michael Faraday, who researched into whether space could conduct electricity, in 1843. His work had a substantial effect on the development of cellular phones. Dr. Mahlon Loomis, a dentist, was the first person to communicate through the wireless atmosphere in 1865. He developed a method of transmitting and receiving messages through the atmosphere. Dr. Martin Cooper is considered to be the inventor of the first portable cellular phone. He was the first person to use a cellular phone in 1973. Cell phones went public in 1977 with trial testing in Chicago and eventually other cities in the U.S. As the cell phone became more popular, it drew the interest of large companies and was introduced in more places around the world. The Cellular Technology Industry Association, CTIA, developed in 1988, set goals and standards for cellular phone providers. In spite of consumer demand, it took cellular phone service nearly 40 years to become commercially accessible. It has now become one of the largest industries internationally with billions of users. Demonstrative pronouns. Revision. Use demonstrative pronouns to point to objects. Singular near this far that, plural near these far those. Imperatives. Revision. Use the imperative for commands and instructions. Say please to be polite. Also use the imperative to give advice. Commands. Close the door. Requests. Could you help me with this? Instructions. Butter 2 slices of bread. Advice. Don't eat that. It's not good for you. Possessive adjectives. It's his cell phone. Possessive pronouns. It's his. Question word. Whose cue? Whose credit card is this? Q. Whose shopping bags are these? A. It's mine. It belongs to me. A. They're hers. They belong to that lady. Pronoun. 1. One's Q. Which coat do you like? Q. Which boots do you prefer? A. The green one. A. The leather ones. Quantitative. 2. Enough. This jacket is too small for me, and the shoes are too big. The jacket is not big enough for me, and the shoes are not small enough.